first, let's take a short excursion. What better way to relax on a lazy Sunday morning than a gentle cruise on a canal boat? But as lovely as it can be, life on board has been especially tough this year, as many have been missing out on government help with the cost of living. Here's Dan O'Brien.
Living on the Wiltshire waterways. To an outside observer, on a sunny day, the setting and pace can look idyllic. But this lifestyle in winter can be really hard. And the majority living here haven't been getting the sort of help with the cost of living offered to most households, like Mum Mary and her 1-year-old Sybil.
I'd like to get it. I'd like to think that this household is as important as every other household that's received it, and she deserves to be warm as much as any other child. Well, we're not living within our means, and I've got money that I've put away for Sybil that now I'm having to spend that, and I feel terrible because that's supposed to be for things that she might want to do when she's a bit older, and I'm spending it on the food shopping because actually we have to eat more than she has to go to university in 18 years' time. I feel like the people who make these decisions have got no idea what real life is, actually. They have never struggled.
But further along the Kennet and Avon, others in this community have now started getting help.
16 years ago, my wife died unexpectedly. We always wanted a boat, and I named it Annie's Dream because it was her dream. So it was her dream, and I'm living it.
Phil says he felt desperate last winter, but now has a new £600 government payment to help with the cost of keeping warm in the months ahead.
I got my money last Thursday, and literally on the Friday, I'd spent it all because I put that £600 towards a ton of coal to keep me warm this winter. That £600, it didn't help me last year. I had to use my savings and give up, my Netflix and dog insurance, which is a big worry for me. I can now feed myself properly as well, because last year I was very near to the food bank, very near, but I thought there's people out there, there's families out there who need it more than me. It's going to be a lifesaver for a lot of people this year.
So why isn't everyone getting this? Well, it all depends on the type of mooring. Residential moorings have a fixed address. They've already been getting help, but there are too few of these to go around. Continuous cruisers have to move location every few weeks, so they don't have a fixed postcode. Like Phil, they'd been missing out until now. But hundreds of others, like Mary we met earlier, are on other types of mooring, often unable to get a residential version, and they're still missing out. The boating community are just the latest example of a group who don't quite fit the mould for how government gives out support. Now, it's taken months of campaigning to get a workaround in place, but for the Treasury, it's a tricky balance between getting the support out to people who need it most and making sure the system is protected from fraud.
For government that is concerned about benefit fraud, about wasting public money, I think it's right that they try to ensure that the system would work fairly for everybody. But the commitment has always been there that every household should get this money. And I regret it, and I campaigned hard, and I spoke to ministers, and I met many of the people living on boats along the canal here to say it's not acceptable for them to be waiting so long.
Alex from the Devizes Food Bank has helped lobby for change, praising the local MP's efforts, but says there's more to do.
I'm really happy. I think it came quite soon after. All the boaters, they're sharing all their experiences, and Danny writing to the government department. It was a couple of days after that this was announced, and there's about 7,000 or so licensed houseboats who are continuous cruisers. But we recognise that there's still a lot of people being missed out of the 30 to 50,000 people living on houseboats in the UK.
Back on the Kennet and Avon with Mum Mary, the change can't come soon enough.
I feel like I have begged for it. I have filled in every form I could possibly fill in, and still I'm being refused because I don't tick the right box. That's the problem. People on boats don't fit in the right category, and if you don't fit into a category, there's no common sense to say, oh, you are still a human, you have still got a family. That doesn't happen. It's a computer says no situation, and the people that make the decisions have got no idea.
The government says it's provided £40 billion to help with cost of living payments, but it hasn't said when people like Mary will get a share.
Max, why do so many people seem to fall through the gaps